morning, everybody. I am headed off to a business conference for the local Chamber of Commerce for our area, and pretty excited about today because it's actually going to be, I call it a boss lady event, and they're going to have two dynamic speakers, and one of the speakers is the former CEO of Chanel and Banana Republic, so I'm excited about hearing her, and I will do my best to sort of do any taping if they'll allow me to, and take some notes and comment on it, but let's see when I get there. But I wanted to give you my quick outfit of the day in honor of her and Chanel. I am wearing my little Chanel brooch today with some layering necklaces, theory white t-shirt, my jacket that I get from that boutique in New York. I do have to find her name from her and let her know, because she does it out of her home, and so I'll see if she'll allow me to post her information. And then these are an old pair of Theory pants. And then also in honor of Chanel, I am wearing my Chanel flats today. And last but not least, the bag that I've decided to carry is my oldie but goodie Louis Vuitton case. Take a picture of my Louis Vuitton bag, and with the uppy leather. So that is my quick outfit of the day. Hope you have a fantastic day as well, and I'll be checking in with you soon. Bye-bye. I just got home, and I thought, let me do a check-in with you and finish up my day while everything was fresh on my brain, and some of the things that I learned today from the conference. As I shared with you earlier, I was pretty excited to be a part of this conference today with two dynamic speakers. I'm going to look down at my notes. So you had Maureen Chiquet, who is the former CEO from Chanel. She's actually been the Chanel CEO for the last 11 years, and last year she stepped down after being with the CEO for about 11 years. And then we also had Joanne Littman. They both recently wrote a book, and Maureen Chiquet's new book is called Beyond the Labels. So it was just an honor of being in her presence, number one, and feeling the positive energy. You can tell that she's worked very hard over the years to reach the level in which she did. She'd worked for the Gap, she's worked for Banana Republic, she's worked for Old Navy, and then becoming CEO from Chanel was her last position. And so now she's taken the time to go on speaking engagements, and she just wrote a new book, as I said. So the book is called Beyond the Labels. I'm just going to I know I will not do this justice on all of the information that I found so valuable today, but I just thought, let me just share with you some of the things that I wrote down, were some ahas, or a nice motivational message for myself that I thought I would share with you. And then I'll also include some of the clips after my brief summary on some of the things that I was able to record a little bit today, but you really had to be there to hear everything. And so here's the three things that she wrote in her book that she found that she thinks very compelling from her book. So once again, excuse me from looking down, I'm going to read my notes. So she says there's three questions you want to ask yourself. What do I care about? What am I good at? And then where am I in life that I can make a decision based on where I am? And those are the three questions that she asked herself before she took the position as CEO of Chanel. And so when she asked herself the question, what do I care about the most? At that time, and it still is, she loves beauty. So from the cosmetic point of view, beauty still is her passion. That's what she cares about the most. Her second question she said to herself, as she asked herself, was, what am I good at? And based on her previous success with the other companies that I mentioned, she knew she was really good at picking products. That was her second reason for going with Chanel. And then the third thing was, where am I in life? Based on where I am I able to do this job successfully? And at the time, she has two young girls. She has support within her family, so that allowed her to make that decision, because she also said before she took the job with Chanel, the agreement was that she would actually come live and work out of the Paris office for a year, like tough to do. But anyway, but for her at the time, because she was living in San Francisco. And that's why the book is called Beyond the Labels, because she wanted us to take away the message from the conference that, yes, she's from Chanel, and we talked a little about fashion and beauty and clothing and style, but she wanted you to think about using that same concept in those three questions pertaining to your personal life, your business life, or your fashion life. What she asked us to do in the room today was, not in front of her, but when we got home today, was think about who we need to have a courageous conversation with. And to give you an example, so for her team, when she did this with her team, you had to write it down in person. A challenging conversation that you need to have with someone, but you just haven't been courageous enough to have it. And it's not necessarily a confrontational conversation. It's a courageous one, because it's one that you need to have, but you have been hesitant to have, but you know it would be really helpful to have. And she said when she shared with her team the courageous message, it was to let them know that she's human. She's afraid they may not like her leadership style. They may not like the direction that she wants to take Chanel. They may not receive her very well. So she had a heartfelt conversation basically with her team. And so she also wanted us in the room today to take that concept away as well. So if it's something that you can use that same concept in your business life, in your personal life, but she really feels having that courageous conversation could be helpful with something that's holding you back as well from progressing forward. So those are basically some of my ahas. I will include some of the clips now of me videotaping her a little bit, just so you can see her style of conversating. But if you get a chance and if you're able to, I would definitely recommend buying her book. I will definitely be buying her book as well. I wanted to see if I'm able to buy it Audible. That's why I did not buy it physically. And if I can't buy it Audible, then I will definitely buy it as a physical book. But once again, it's called Beyond the Labels, and it is Maureen Chiquet, and I'm now going to include some of the video clips now. Hope you enjoyed this quick summary. Talk to you guys soon.
I have a kind of interesting history, as you heard a little piece of. I started my career at L'Oreal in Paris and moved shortly after I had met my husband there to San Francisco without a job, which is sort of not really intelligent to do, especially since I was in marketing at L'Oreal, and finding a job in the Bay Area in marketing at that time. Now, I guess a lot of people are moving to the Bay Area, but at that time it was almost impossible. The two choices for marketing were Clorox or Del Monte, if you know that. So here I am at L'Oreal thinking, I'm a marketer. I have this label called marketer. Well, I get to San Francisco, and that label is just not going to work, because I actually realized at that point I love beauty, and I love the idea of making women feel and look beautiful. So I landed in the Gap based on something completely strange, which was seeing a Miles Davis poster. Does anyone know who Miles Davis is? Yeah, good. Yeah. Amazing, probably one of the greatest jazz musicians of all time. And he had his head in his hands and this kind of really soulful look, and it said Gap. And I'm like, I'm going to go to Gap. I also thought jeans would look really great with Chanel jackets, and nobody in the company did this before I got there. But once I started wearing jeans, all the women felt so much freer, and they started to wear jeans too with their Chanel jackets, of course. So it's sort of like a way of keeping a piece of you, even in the work that you do that's different. Another thing that I think of when I hear that question is, I remember when I was probably about halfway through my tenure at Chanel, I started feeling like that was my world. Like that was all I meant was Chanel. And I'd walk into a restaurant and I was known as, the CEO of Chanel. I was always associated with the brand. And that while that's really beautiful because it's a great brand, it's also, I want people to see me for me. So I started thinking about how I could stick really close to the other things that were important in my life, not to mention my family, but things that, like going on a different board, or I love theater, making sure I'm making the time to go to theater, or I'm really involved with the arts. I started to just a small art collection, like things that made me feel like I'm still me. I'm not giving myself over entirely to my job or to this identity that's my job.
Well, let me ask you, as far as leading you through change, and from time to time, sometimes we hear that we have to kind of unlearn what we've learned, because I mean, you went through some drastic changes. As you said, I did this when I was with L'Oreal, and then all of a sudden I go to Gap, and they don't want marketing, they want merchandising, and you're kind of just trying to navigate who you are, what you're doing very differently. So when you're talking about habits, you're talking about what you've learned and maybe have to unlearn, how do you kind of handle that? Because every company, very different, and as you said, even with the identity of Chanel, there are different things that are done at Chanel. It's a different way of dressing and thinking. How do you kind of balance the core things that you've learned and then realize what you may need to let go and what you need to kind of add on to it, depending on where you are in your life at that time?
And one of the great gifts that I got, and you don't always get this gift, but the owners asked me to spend a full year in Paris just meeting people, listening and learning about the culture, about the business, really creating relationships, establishing relationships so that I could do this job. But during that time, the temptation is still there. You want to impose what you know on a new situation. It's kind of like human nature. And what I found is if you can suspend that for a little while, the things that you do know and the things that are you'll need will come back in ways that are most useful. So unlearning to me, I mean, there's I quoted E. Cummings in the book. There's a great expression, by the way, and E. Cummings says, the artist, and I have huge respect for artists, the artist is none other than he who unlearns to learn more. He who unlearns everything he's learned to unlearn more about himself. So I think if you can suspend and if you can unlearn, you open yourself to so much more richness in your life, in your job, in your new job. So I think it's really important. It happened to me, and it's happened. And to be honest, it's happening to me right now. I'm trying to do something radically different. I'm starting to write again. I want to write a TV show because I'm kind of obsessed with TV. So I'm having to unlearn what it means to be a CEO for a luxury company and unlearn all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure part of that will come back too. So yeah. And the Gap had really wanted to expand into other businesses. So you have an option. You can do some market research and find out what else are women wearing. But in the fashion business, things move too fast. It's really hard to do that. Well, I had a neighbor who was super cool, and one day she was wearing a palazzo pants, those printed pants that are in rayon with the drawstring, and she was wearing with sneakers. And I thought, oh my God, that looks so great. Like, what about if we do palazzo pants? And I brought it to my team. I brought it to the powers that be, and they're like, no, we don't do rayon. We're just a cotton company. This is a while back. And I thought, no, but it's gonna. I feel like it could be something. So what was I doing? I was just kind of looking at something. I felt it in my heart. What does it feel like? Oh, this feels like it's gonna be beautiful. And then you apply that sort of to business situation and see, it can test it. Can it work? And of course it did. And we ended up doing a lot of business on lots of that subsequently. And so I think it's observing. It's sort of creating that narrative. And then lastly, and this is going to sound like a really weird one, it's having the confidence to go for it sometimes. I think in that example, I could have given up and said, yeah, you're right, Gap doesn't do rayon. But it's because there was something I was seeing, and there was a way I was seeing potential in that. So I don't know how that applies to your jobs, but observation sort of feels like the first key.